Finally, we're done with Monday Night Raw, and we get a grade WWE SmackDown Live. This is back to school, and we are beyond the shoot. Once again, SmackDown proves why they're a superior brand. They start off the show the same way Raw did, but in a completely different manner. They didn't start off on ladders, bickering and yelling and joking and being comedic. They started off with 4 women in the ring. The 4 women in the ladder match started off with Charlotte, Becky Lynch, Lana, and Naomi. Of course, Paige is there and saying how prestigious being the winner Money in the Bank is and how bad she wants it on SmackDown. She doesn't care who wins. She just wants it on her brand because she believes that they have the best roster, they have the best women. And of course, each wrestler got their little take in why they should win it. And of course, the iconic music hits. They come out, they do their little gimmick. They're annoyingly great. It's annoying, it's so bad, but it's so good at the same time. They play the perfect heel, and I feel like they've improved each week, wrestling-wise and on the mic. So their music hits, they come out, they do their thing. Right after that, Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose music hits. They come out and say, the 4 women in the ring are nothing compared to the 4 women on the outside of the ring. So of course, Paige sets up a main event of a fatal 4-way tag team women's match, you want to call it. The women in the ring and the women on the outside of the ring. But the best part of the beginning was the fact that they just straight up brawled. It wasn't just talking. They attacked each other and got in a fight. When do you see these type of women do that? So SmackDown already started off great. I give that a B+. Great way to start off the show. So once we start off SmackDown with a great way, we started off with a great match. It's Shelton Benjamin versus Daniel Bryan. Of course, 2 great technical wrestlers, great Olympic wrestlers, great wrestlers overall. They put on a great show. They showed what they can do and what they're capable of without even putting a storyline behind them. I wish they had more time because right when it was going to end, it's when it finally picked up. I do give this a B+ because Daniel Bryan showed his grit. He played off a knee injury and Shelton Benjamin played from that knee injury. Shelton Benjamin showed why he's underutilized on the roster right now. I feel like he should go after the United States Championship, or who knows, maybe the feud with Big Cass gets squashed and they put this on the front burner because it needs to happen. Good job, SmackDown. Great way to start with the first match. Once the match ends, we do go backstage. Paige, of course, does her little strut down the back way and she bumps into Asuka. Asuka wants Carmella tonight. She says she can't do that. She already has her at Money in the Bank. She needs to relax, but what she can do is make that triple threat, fatal 4-way tag team match, you want to call it, into a 10-woman tag match. She adds Asuka and she adds Carmella. Asuka, of course, is happy because she gets her shot against Carmella. She goes back, she keeps walking down, and she bumps into The Miz, who's wearing a referee shirt, his Naruto headband. I don't grade backstage segments, but I grade that an A. The Miz plays off any character, any segment, in the match, in the ring, backstage to perfection. Of course, he brings up the movie that they were in together and how he can get her into Hollywood. Of course, plugging her movie in at the same time, and he asked to be the referee for a match of Rusev versus Samoa Joe. Of course, Paige thinks that she made the match, and she tells him, fine, you got it. We have that later on in the night. I hate to say this, but for me to give a low grade on SmackDown, it must really be that bad. And it has to be the person that I admire the most on SmackDown. AJ Styles segment, I do give a C-. I understand that they were in Memphis. I understand they have to bring out Jerry the King Lawler. They need to have that hometown feel, which I commend, but at some point it does get old. So of course he comes out and he's gonna interview AJ Styles. Like they did last week, they interviewed him right at the entrance, right on the side. He just said, he apologizes for not beating up Shinsuke worse than he did, and that was pretty much it. It was a 5-minute little interview. Of course, like I said, they did that just to give Jerry the King Lawler his hometown introduction, and they gave it for AJ Styles to have a TV preview. It wasn't necessary. It could have been done backstage. He could have came out, waved to the crowd, went to the back. It was very unnecessary, and it took up TV time, in my opinion. Next up, we have the second match of the night. We're already in the first hour of SmackDown Live. We barely have the second match. It goes to show how good SmackDown Live is doing in storytelling. We do have the second match. It's Rusev versus Samoa Joe and Miz as guest referee. This matchup alone is a pay-per-view quality matchup. Rusev is the top guy on as far as the universe of WWE, and Samoa Joe is a top guy as far as wrestling and what the potential he has in him. So of course it was a great match, two hard-hitting, strong style, just knockout type matches. You expect them to go into submissions. They didn't. They wrestled, they punched, they fought, they kicked. You saw super kicks, you saw drop kicks. When do you see that from big men? Two big men who know how to wrestle and know what they're doing. Of course, Rusev, it's been kind of weird seeing him heel, face. Make up your mind and just leave him as a face. He has comedic value that I feel like the only person that's close to that is Elias. These two have so much comedy, so much character, and are the most over heels in wrestling. Just leave him as a face, keep that going. Back to the match, it was great. I enjoyed it. The Miz, he has a career as a referee when his wrestling days are over because he did phenomenal. He did slides, he called maneuvers, he called 1, 2, 3 counts. He did great. Of course, you know, at the end, Miz is gonna get involved somehow. Samoa Joe accidentally hit him, so he didn't want to count 1, 2, 3 for Samoa Joe. Rusev gets a pin, 1, 2, 3. Samoa Joe's out of the ring. Rusev's gonna get on the ladder to take down the briefcase and show why he should win. Miz comes out, Bones Crusher finale, gets him down. He gets on top of the ring, celebrates like he won Money in the Bank. He goes to pretend to cash it in. They open it up, and what's inside the briefcase? Pancakes. New Day had to insert themselves in this somehow, and to do it at the end the way they did it was perfect. I give this whole match segment from beginning to end, I give it an A. It told a great story, and like I said, New Day to put themselves in it without even being on TV was great. A. Next up, we have Jeff Hardy versus Shinsuke Nakamura. I personally feel like this is a little foreshadowing into the future of a potential US Championship match, maybe. Well, back to the match. I do give it a B, and the reason why I'm going to grade it in the beginning before I tell you about the match, I feel like Jeff Hardy is legitimately injured. I feel like his knee is not up to par, and I feel like his back is not up to par. He was moving very slowly, and the way we say that some wrestlers count their steps while they're wrestling, I feel like he needed to, and Shinsuke kind of had to dial back. But even with that, it was a great match. It was very well wrestled. Of course, it was slower than usual. It was slower than what we're used to, the extreme style pace, but it was a great match. It did focus on Shinsuke injuring Hardy more. And of course, to end the match, Shinsuke had to do the low blow. It has to keep going. I feel like it's not going to get old because each time he does it with such power and viciousness. He's a vicious heel, and he needs to be this way for the next couple of years. Just keep it that way. Of course, he does it and counts his 1, 2, 3, going back to his match with AJ, which is the last man standing match. Counts it out, but he acts like he won, even though he lost by disqualification. It's a win in his book. And Jeff Hardy going down, I feel like he needs a break. Like I said, I feel like he's injured. Keep him down. He's not on the pay-per-view. Give him some weeks off. Let him get back to 100% and make this match happen again. We go backstage, and Renee Young's in an interview Big Cass. He stands there, excuse my language, but he stands there like an idiot with his little smile on his face, his little head wobbling, with his hand in the air, just standing there just for a good 10 seconds, making it awkward already. He shushes away Renee Young, and he talks about a carnival and roller coasters. Of course, it's going to lead to Daniel Bryan's height. He goes to that height requirements and points to where Daniel Bryan is standing and how short he is. And week after week after week, it's the same exact thing. It doesn't change. His height this, his height that, his height this. It's stale. It's boring. I give it an F. I've given this feud an F since the beginning. When it happened, let it go, squash it. Bryan get the win on Sunday. That's it. Leave this alone. I give this an F. It's great what SmackDown did. They opened the show with the women and they closed the show with the women. We have the main event, the 10 women tag match. It took a good 5-10 minutes for their entrances. Of course, there's 10 women, so it needs to happen. But the match did get a good 15-20 minutes to actually wrestle. Each superstar got their show. Each superstar got what they're capable of doing. Even Lana did a couple moves here and there. But I feel like who stole the show was Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville. I gave a pause because she did a V-trigger to a Shining Wizard. That was freaking awesome. Of course, Asuka gets a hot tag. She comes in, does her little thing. Charlotte does her backflip. Like I said, every superstar showed what they're capable of. Every superstar showed why SmackDown in general is a better brand. It was a great way to end it. I do give it an A. Not much of the match, but because of how it was told, how each woman got what they're shown to do, how each woman is capable of being the best and being on top. Even Carmella, she did pretty decent in this match, believe it or not. She was the worst superstar in this match, and she actually did a pretty good job. Great way to end SmackDown. I sincerely enjoyed it. Overall, I can't give SmackDown an A or a B+. I'm gonna give it a very weak B- because of the DF, whatever you want to call it, in Big Cass, and that C- segment with AJ Styles. Those two segments did kind of lower it down a little bit, but overall, SmackDown introduced us to Money in the Bank perfectly. The Go Home show was great with this one. It was miles and miles ahead of Raw once again, but hopefully Raw picks up, because SmackDown, you're burning them. But those are my grades, those are my opinions. Click on the eye above. Give it an A, give it a B. If you want to give the Big Cass segment a B, go for it. I don't recommend it, but go for it. Once you do that, don't forget, comment, subscribe, and like down below. Comment with us, talk to us. If you don't like what we're doing, unlike it. Like Psycho Steve said, unlike likes, just join this community. Once you do that, don't forget, follow me on Twitter, Mike Hiru BTS. We will see you guys for 205 and for NXT.